Hi, I'm Tim Balderman, and I want to welcome you to this first edition of Too Honest for Social Media. Why are we doing a podcast? There's plenty of podcasts out there. There's all kind of social media formats that you can communicate on. The reality is, as an elected official and working with those that are policymakers, working with those that are policy implementers, I think it's important that people can get the real story of issues that are happening that affect them, whether they're at the local, the state, or the federal level. And so the goal of this podcast is to bring people in and get the real information. We ask them the real questions. It doesn't really matter what their answers are. We just are going to hold them accountable for what they're saying, and then you can make the decision for yourself. Too often people are going to Facebook or social media to try and get their information. And in this first episode, we're going to show you why that's not a good idea. We're just going to talk about a couple of things that we are seeing on Facebook. This was just in a couple weeks period of time. I wish Don was actually saying to me, boy, I've been bookmarking these for years, and I wish I would have, because this episode would be about 3 weeks long if I did. But this is just a small sampling. Actually, we're going to call this episode Calling All Karen's Conspiracy Theorists and So-Called Experts. Don, that's the title of this one. You got it? Karen's Conspiracy Experts or Conspiracy Theorists and So-Called Experts. As an elected official, and even as employees, I'm sure that you would agree. We've got Mark Brow from Public Works and my able-bodied assistant, Megan Applegate here. And of course, as always, Don Winnie, our great producer in there. Social media, from our perspective, can be a good thing. We can hear about issues that we don't otherwise know about. There are some really great people who live in this town or work in this town that ask questions or that offer ideas in a respectful way. And we love to have that. We love to have that communication. But far too often, there are the people who are giving out bad information. It's either because they are misinformed or they're trolling, but unfortunately, there's some that believe the trolling, or I mean, they're jerk-offs. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, so they may be in the minority, but unfortunately, as we've all seen on social media, sometimes somebody will put something out and then it gets legs and it keeps going. And really what it does is it kind of hurts the credibility of what transparent bodies of government are trying to do. And we're one of them. There are a lot of governments that deserve that kind of scrutiny that are not transparent, but we've really made sure that that's something we do here. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of these comments and some of the dangers of comments like these. We're not going to give out anybody's name to embarrass them, except for maybe at the end there was one clown that was talking about corruption or something. We might give his name out. I'm not sure yet, but I'll play it by ear. But we really, the focus here and what you're going to see over however many episodes this goes, until, what'd you say, I get impeached, Mark? That'll be the case.
It may only be one episode.
May only be one. No, we've got to, yeah. We'll have a few in the hopper by the time that one comes out. But is to bring the people in, because the people have a right to know what's going on with those that are elected to represent them and those that are paid to serve them. That's for sure. And so we will talk about things happening here in this community. Mm-hmm. That although they might be specific, some of them to New Lenox, they really would apply to almost any community that people live in, the services that are provided and why they're provided. But then again, we're going to bring in some state people, legislators, some federal legislators. We'll bring in health experts to talk about issues. We're very fortunate to have a great hospital in Silver Cross right here, where we can talk about some of the things that happened, like during COVID, you know, what you should or shouldn't do. But we will have an opportunity for people on both sides of the aisle, no matter what the issue is, to come in and say why they believe what they're espousing is correct. So we're going to start off, we're going to talk a little bit here about development. New Lenox here in 2025 is a community of about 30,000 people. I moved here in 1994, and there were 10,000 people when I moved here in 1994. In fact, it's kind of a funny story. I'd never even heard of New Lenox growing up on the south side. And my dad said, you got to go out to New Lenox and check it out. And I said, okay. So I went down Wolf, I think, or to Francis, and I started heading west, drove past a couple cows. I said, where are you sending me? But then I got into New Lenox, and best decision I ever made moving here 31 years ago. It was a great town then with a great history, and I really think it's got a bright future ahead of it as well. But 31 years ago when I came here with 10,000 people, people were saying, we wish New Lenox would stop growing. We don't want anyone else moving out here, which I'm sure 2 years before that, people were saying that. And when this town had 1,000 people, they were probably unhappy when it grew to 2,000. But that's the nature. That's how it goes. So our first comment was, I moved here 7 years ago, and I fell in love with all the open fields and farms. It's sad to think the open space will be gone. 7 years ago. Mark, how long have you been here?
I've worked for the village for 26 years and lived here for 23.
Did you have any idea when you moved here that people were going to...
I had an inkling.
You had an inkling?
That it may grow, especially as you see all the development going on around town, and people want 2,000 people in town, but they also want a McDonald's and they want a Trader Joe's, and nobody's going to come for 2,000 people. So you have to grow responsibly, like I think we have. But yeah, I had a pretty good idea.
But it shouldn't have come as a shock to someone 7 years ago.
Not seven, maybe 27 years ago.
Right.
7 years ago.
Not so much.
I've been here for 8 years.
You've been here for 8.
For 8 years.
Okay,
so you were even more shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Where
are all the open fields?
All right, so let me ask
Where
you. So you moved here 8 years ago. Should you have responded to this person and say, well, it was okay when I moved here 8 years ago, but we don't want the people coming after me, so we wish you wouldn't have come here 7 years ago.
Right.
That would have been okay?
I could have put that.
Well, you could have put it. A lot of people do put it.
That's true. I in my head, I would have said it. I probably definitely would have typed it
like
out there like some people would have. But no, I mean, I think it's very safe to say you move to a booming community that's with a lot of growth, a lot of new families, and you're gonna see growth. Now, granted, I know we're on the south side of everything. We've got farms to our south, Manhattan. I'm sure a lot of that will stay open for the time being. But if you come to a community like this, you've got to expect.
All right, but you bring up a good point. You talk about Manhattan, which is actually a very fast-growing community.
True. Mm-hmm.
And so you say you could move out there now and expect that they could have open fields, but the reality is Manhattan is today where New Lenox was when I moved here 31 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you move to Manhattan today and you plan on being there for the next 3 decades and don't expect any growth, then you're not paying attention to what's happening.
Right.
I mean, we have a thing called a comprehensive plan. Every community that isn't landlocked has a comprehensive plan, and that comprehensive plan is open to feedback from the community. We bring in school members and planners and engineers. We bring in all kind of people to talk about, and again, the community is welcome to attend that as well, talk about how should this town grow. And it kind of lays out in this comprehensive plan what parts of the town are going to be residential, what's going to be commercial, what's going to be industrial. This town is about 43 square miles with a lot of growth still to come. So it plans on file. If somebody moved here 7 years ago and is shocked at the growth that's coming, I don't have an answer for that. Am I wrong? I mean, tell me.
No, you are absolutely not wrong.
All right.
It should
Sounds
be expected.
to me like they're part of the problem because they moved here 7 years ago.
We should have closed the door 8 years ago.
Well, and honestly, if you're looking to live on acres with open farm fields, you need to move way south. You need to get out of the suburbs. And we are still within the suburbs. We're growing. Manhattan's growing. Frankfort, all of us on the south part, backing up to all the farm fields, we're all growing. So if you're expecting open fields, move on south.
Yeah, you've got to go really, really far south and have a look at what their plan is.
Yes.
Have a look at what their plan is.
Absolutely.
Which leads to the next comment because, I was interviewed by, I am frequently, but by a newspaper. And of course, no fault of the journalist. I talked to the journalist for 30 minutes. He can't put every quote that I said in a paper. It's not possible. But he was talking about how New Lenox over the last 4 years has experienced more growth percentage-wise than anyone else in this area, in South Cook, in Will County out here. And one of the things I talked about was that CMAP had said in 2008 that New Lenox population by 2030 would be 100,000 people. Now, of course, since then, we've had 2 recessions, a pandemic, all sorts of things that have happened that have slowed down that growth. But what I said to the reporter was, ultimately, with all the 43 square miles that we have, we'll probably hit a population of 90,000 people. I mean, it's going to be a long time, but it'll probably be 90,000 people. We only have built, even in our heyday, 350 or 400 homes a year. Now we're at 150, 200, 250 homes a year. So it's going to be a long time to get to 90,000. But this genius said, leave it to the politicians to think that growing a small farm town to 90,000 people is a good idea. Well, my friend, the small farm town, which of course has been gone for a long time, and we love the farms that are here. We don't take farmland away from people. We don't use eminent domain to take farmland away from people. The farmers can stay as long as they like and farm. They want to farm for the next several generations. We support farmers. That's a great thing. But it's the farmers that are selling their land, and rightfully so. They maybe have had it for decades, and now is an opportunity because people want to live here, that they can make a lot of money and sell their farms. I mean, you've had to have seen that even in the time you've been here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially along the south side of Laraway.
Yeah.
That was all farm field. But yeah, as people age and get out of the farming game and their kids don't want to do it, sell the land, make some money, and that's what's going to happen.
Good retirement.
We're going to see it happen more and more. But yeah, it is what it is.
That's right, and it's factors that are outside of any village's control. We don't have anything to do with providing subsidies for farmers or not, or tariffs or any of that other stuff. So, and like you said, farming is hard work. These families that have been doing farming for generations, God bless them. I mean, that's tough work. And as you said, family members may not want to continue in that business, and they've earned the right to sell their land and to make a good profit and to do something well with it. So, social media here, here's a guy saying, oh, why is the town turning farmland into this type of growth? We do not do that. We understand there are areas in our town that are currently farms that on our comprehensive plan say residential growth. Well, that doesn't mean they have to become residential growth.
And we're not making them become
We're
residential
not making
growth.
them.
We're not even buying that property when it's on
We're
sale.
not- exactly.
Developers are coming and picking up that land and doing what they want with it.
That's
So,
right, because people want to live here, and at some point in time, the landowner says, it's worth my while. I want to get out, like you said, Mark, that they want to do that. So along the same lines, in that article was another Facebook friend who said, don't worry, people are smarter than you think. They won't pay $15,000 per year in taxes for an overpriced $500,000 house. The town will never see that many stupid people move in. Well, my guess is he's the last of the stupid people that moved in. He doesn't think there's anyone dumber than him coming after that.
Jeez.
I mean, yes, people will pay $15,000 a year in property taxes for a $500,000 house.
A lot of people already are.
They are.
To be completely honest, I'm at 13, and I'm probably just right around this price as in regard to what I can
You're
sell my
at
house
13.
for.
We're going to have to get you reassessed because that's pretty low.
Oh God, oh, please no. I will take 13. But no, a lot of people are paying 15 or higher.
They are.
Absolutely in this area.
And we're going to get into a little later here how taxes work here in Illinois and why people are taxed the way they are. Taxes in Illinois, property taxes are horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. I mean, again, I could spend weeks talking about how poorly the state of Illinois is run and how our property tax structure is just one of the worst, if not the worst, in the country. I think they say New Jersey is worse than us or close or what.
It's not.
Well,
That's
not
not
too
something
far
to
off.
be proud of.
That's
Yeah.
New Jersey. Yeah, exactly. Now, Illinois is at the bottom of a lot of things, but we'll get into taxes in a little bit and how they work. But yes, people, if they're going to live in Illinois, and I just saw a poll that came out today that said that more than 50% of Illinois residents said they would move out of the state if they had the means to do that. And that's horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah.
That people don't want to live here. You talk about a state that really should be at the top in the country. We have all the infrastructure with the highways here.
Yeah.
We've got Lake Michigan. We've got rail. I mean, Illinois should be thriving in this country.
Epicenter. of
Mismanagement for years. and
Horrible
years.
mismanagement.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
everything.
All right, one other thing. Wait, so when I first got elected back in 2007, one of the things that people talked about quite frequently was our train station, which was horrible. Said it was the worst train station on the line. Had either one
Oh.
of you taken the old train station before?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had not. No.
You never
It was.
did?
It was
No.
terrible.
I mean, I saw it.
Well, and you
Yeah.
came from Naperville, so you would have thought
I
it was
did.
really bad. Yeah,
Terrible.
so,
It was
I mean,
horrible.
Speaking of overpriced and overbuilt, jeez.
Well, yeah, going back, Naperville's seen so much growth too.
Yeah, they have seen a lot of. It's a nice town. It is, but
Yeah.
but you took the train. I mean, and you heard complaints all the time too, because your department was involved in
Absolutely.
taking care of that. I mean, the floor was uneven. There was asbestos. There, the ceiling was collapsing.
That's just
geez.
the good stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
those were the highlights of our
Yeah.
train
Oh, my
station.
gosh.
So people said, we need a new train station. And the other problem was because the train station was built so close to Cedar Road, and it was nobody's fault. Again, when it was built so many years ago, nobody knew what Cedar Road was going to look like. But traffic was stopped because the gates were down for inbound and outbound trains. So we knew if we built a new station and moved it a little further east, that for inbound trains, they at least, once the train passed Cedar, the gates could go up and traffic could clear. Outbound, they can't. And the reason they can't is, of course, people are getting out and need to cross the street, and we have to make sure the pedestrians are safe before the train clears. So, I mean, common sense. But no, not common sense for one of our friends here who says, you mean like when we were lied to about how moving the metro station would stop the traffic buildup on Cedar?
I have something to say about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's
I
not
wanna
that bad. Okay, you might sit there for a few minutes, but I'm going to compliment IDOT, probably just this one and only
Boy,
time.
yeah, I was going to say.
That
yeah.
timing of the light at 30 in Cedar is actually pretty darn good, and it allows for that traffic to clear very, very quickly. So, first of all, we didn't lie to anyone.
Yeah, we never
it's
said
not-
outbound trains were going to have the gate up. That would
Yeah,
make
no.
you're going to lift a gate for an outbound train, and then it's going to cross through Cedar with no gate.
Well, we
Yeah,
could
I
just
know.
talk to Metro about just leaving the gates up.
Oh, make gates up at all time. We'll just put cow catchers on the metro like the old
Oh.
freight trains and
There
scoop
you
the
go.
people up as they cross
Yeah.
Cedar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but and that reminds me too. That train station. Boy, we went through so much with that train station.
Yeah.
There were people
Mark.
that said it was a historical site. I can go out and find a rock from 80 years ago. It doesn't make it historical. Nothing historical ever happened at that train station. I mean, Lincoln didn't come through there. Anything ever? Was the first salted pretzel sold out of there or something? Did anything happen that I missed?
Yeah, I think we did find a salted pretzel.
You may have
left
found a
from
salted pretzel.
The early 1900s.
That's right.
Petrified.
Well,
Yes.
there was this poor guy who was kind enough to help out, who had spent, boy, I'm going to tell you, and I'm not exaggerating, about $500,000 to move that train station because he was told it was of such value that 70,000 people a year would pay to come visit that train station.
Just the train station?
Just the
I did not know
historic
that.
train station.
Did not know that part.
Who told them that? One of these people? in
One of
your
the
comments?
yeah, probably. I don't know if 7 people have been through there in all the years that it's been moved to that other location, but that's the problem. There was a lot on social media at that time about how horrible the village was, even though everyone was begging for a new train station. How horrible that we were getting rid of this landmark that was a dilapidated old building that served its purpose 50 years ago or 60 years ago, whatever it was. But boy, to spend all that money to move that down, I know there's a lot of regret from the people who had done that. But talking about money, This is one that came up recently that I absolutely love. We obviously have we're halfway through building the new sports complex. We've got all the outdoor play ready to go. And the plan was all along, we had the revenue for the outdoor play, and that would attract hotels and restaurants in that area. And once we received sales tax and hotel tax, then we would have the new revenue to build the indoor facility. And there was talk at one point about potentially putting a pool in there. There was, but then when we looked at the cost and how much space we needed for basketball, volleyball, those sorts of things, it was taken out of the plan.
But it wouldn't have really benefited our residents anyway, because of all the people who are coming in from out of town. They'd be in the pool more often than our residents, and we'd get complaints about that.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And community pools, people do like them. I mean, I understand. I'm not a fan of them. I mean, I'm a germaphobe, so I wouldn't go in that
I understand.
But
I'm the same way.
I mean, I bring my own silverware to restaurants, but
True.
So I'm not a fan of the community pool, but I understand that a lot of people are, and we've talked to the park district about it. They do a great job with parks and rec programs and whatnot. So I know they're kind of looking at it too, but in this climate and with the cost, it's really, and not most, but a lot of people in town having their own pools. Yeah. You have to really question whether it's worth it.
It's not a moneymaker.
They could visit the hotels that are going to be up there. They will have pools.
They could swim there.
Indoor.
Well,
that's the thing. If it was an indoor
but the reason
pool,
that we're not getting a pool, according to our friend here on social media, we ran out of money. From what I heard, they ran out of money. That's one of my favorites. Is from what I heard. Well, who did you hear it from? From what I heard, that's like when you were a kid and you said you had a girlfriend, but she lived in Canada. I mean, you can never identify this.
I used that all the way through college.
Did it work for you?
No.
not
It
surprising.
did not. Yeah, I didn't think so. But from what I heard, everything we do here at the Village is public record. Mm-hmm. People can find out what money we have, what we don't have. I lay it out there quite frequently, how we're paying for things and what they are. But Mark, if we've run out of money,
that doesn't look good for us two, at least.
Which one do you think's going first?
I would say probably Megan.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thanks for just throwing me under
You're
the
welcome.
She gets
No.
it first?
You've only been here 8 years. You can go back to Naperville.
No, I need to be vested first. I got 2 more years. I guess you're going to be kicked out.
Oh, 2 more years.
I got you.
2 more years to get one of those big pensions. Here's an
Unless we run out of
Don't
money.
want to get started on that.
Yeah, we'll do a show on pensions. God knows I know enough about them. But one of the things, not one of the things, but we're here to provide services for people, but we're also to make sure that any building that comes to town or any building that takes place in town is done safely. So our friend Michael said, sounds like New Lenox is going woke. To which Robert replied, yep, can't even put a pool in a pool deck without them in your business. Trying to tell what they have to do on our private property that we're paying taxes for. Oh, that's right. The guy that comes out to tell me what to do is being paid with my tax money. So, Mark, why would we want to have people get a permit to build a deck or a pool or anything?
Patio. Enclosed patio that's falling
why
apart.
would we want to get it in their business other than the fact that we're going woke?
Well, like you said, one is safety. Number two is this is a nice community, overpriced homes, but a nice community nonetheless.
Overtaxed homes, not overpriced,
So
Mark,
when I'm paying
overtaxed.
$15,000 at my overpriced home, I don't want the guy next door having shitty material and having things falling apart and not looking good.
Yeah.
And plus, we really need that tax money so we can build a pool.
That's right, so we can build a community
and
pool.
we can get paid.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, there's that too.
No, I mean, the truth is, look, I'm a big believer in private property owner rights. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really, really am. That's why, in the 18 years I've been mayor, when we've used eminent domain where we had to put a road in. But other than that, I don't believe in taking people's property. People have a right to do what they want to do on their property. But recently, and Mark, you remember this, not that long ago, we had a drainage issue. I think it was a water main, or maybe it was from the rain and there were some sewer issues. But somebody's Florida room that was built without a permit without our knowledge, without a permit, ended up having water because it was built incorrectly.
It was also built on a hill, and the water did not flow uphill, but that's a whole different story. But that's how we did discover that it was built illegally and built poorly.
Right. So we're not interested in getting in your business. And we don't charge, we charge pennies for these permits. It's just to make sure it's done right. So not only you or the future homeowner has something safe.
It's
And you've
security.
seen-
It's security.
You've seen all the deck collapses and porch collapses, and people get hurt, people get killed. And then the first thing I do is go, why didn't the city look at that? Well, we're trying to get ahead of that, and we're trying to keep people safe and out of harm's way. So
That's right. No, and it is. It's about safety. It's not about getting in your business.
I still don't understand how that makes us woke.
Yeah,
I don't get that part.
Yeah, well, I think, people like to throw, they don't even know what woke means. It's just one of those things they like to throw around.
they saw it on the internet. So
So it has to be true.
Yep.
Now, this one, I'm going to be real honest. Beth was going to be a part of this podcast, but she thought you'd be a little saltier, Megan, which is true.
I'm a little saltier sometimes.
Yeah, you're very.
Sometimes.
You are my Jiminy Cricket. You are, but you're my conscience sometimes. But you got a little more bite to you, which is okay. Someone here in town, between gas stations and restaurants coming to New Lenox, there still isn't much to do.
It is so boring here. What are you doing?
Nothing to do.
As
I don't
mayor?
know. I don't
Come
know.
on.
It's not me. I don't know.
Jeez.
I guess I should eliminate the special events department. I mean, if it wasn't for the Christmas in the Commons and the 4th of July and the Chalk Walk and the concerts and the farmers market and the movie nights and the Fridays after 5
Play
and
day.
Taco Fest.
Play day, Taco Fest.
We could go on for 2 weeks.
There's nothing to do here. There's nothing to do here.
It's boring.
Especially for us, a town of 400,000 people,
Beating out Naperville.
Well, the Bears are still looking for a home. So
Yeah, well, we don't need any more losers in here. No, I mean, these comments are ludicrous. You go to our village website. Our town offers more activities
for nothing, for free.
mostly
free.
for
Mostly.
free. You're right, and that's just the village. If you look at the library and all of the programs that they offer for kids, the park district and all of the programs that they offer for kids and adults, and then of course you have the township does some, and the schools got the PTO and the activities that they have going on
Chamber.
for people. The Chamber of Commerce has things that they do. I mean, it's never ending. For what you can do in this town of 30,000 people, the amount of activities that we put on for people is, it's just crazy. I mean, it really, really, really is.
I can't think of a place that puts on more than us, to
No.
be completely honest.
No, you really
Not
can't.
free events. Not
Right.
summer-filled free events. I can't think of another place.
That's
so we do offer a lot.
That's right. Now, I do have to go to one that I didn't print out for you because I just saw it. I just came across it. People, and we're going to get into water here, Mark, which is, I know, your favorite subject. Look, water is expensive. Water is expensive. Water comes from Lake Michigan in Chicago, runs through Oak Lawn, out to Tinley Park, out to us. We're the end of that line, of that Chicago line. It was something that was voted in and started here in 2001. And we know it's expensive, but if you want that water, you have to have it. You got to pay for it. Somebody decided to argue with you about why they're getting charged flat rates. And when you told them they weren't, they told you were wrong. So let's talk a little bit about...
This isn't the first time I've had this conversation on Facebook. It's amusing every time.
Yeah, let's talk about the water. So the water is expensive. We'll give you that. Yeah. There's no doubt. But there's a reason. So it's not a flat rate for your water. Talk about what people see on their charge.
So there's two charges on every bill. There's a water line charge, and then there's the sewer debt cap. Both of those basically finance improvements or additions to the systems, like our treatment plant or water towers we may be building, or extending a water line to get to a different part of town, or creating a loop of the water main. So it's everybody basically is paying their fair share. It's not, oh, let's go out for a referendum and we need $150 million for this or $100 million for that. It's we take that money, we save it, we use it as needed.
So even if you don't turn on the faucet, you have to pay for the infrastructure that brings
Right.
water here.
And a lot of people say, well, why should I have to pay for that infrastructure? It doesn't affect me. Well, somebody paid for the infrastructure that does affect you.
Right.
So it's you're just paying it
It's
forward.
like the argument, why do I have to pay for schools if I don't have any kids in schools?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Did you ever have? Yeah.
Right.
So,
And even if you didn't, you're still benefiting from having quality schools in your community. But,
Absolutely.
But go ahead. So it's an infrastructure charge.
Yeah.
To bring water and to take care of our sewer is on there as well.
Yeah.
And then we do have reduced rates, senior rates, and talk a little bit about minimums, just stuff
So
like that.
there is no minimum. The minimum is 1,000 gallons, basically.
Yeah.
And that's only if you get, you go over 1,000. Now we read in thousands, so you may only use 1,100 that month, but if you get to that magic number of, if you're at 900 and I use 1,100, you'll be at 2,000 total. So you'll be billed for 2,000, but you weren't billed for anything that first month.
Right.
So yeah, there is no minimum amount of water. It's whatever you use, you get charged for. Simple as that. We used to have minimum, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 gallons back in the early 2000s, I think, but not anymore. It's you use, or you get billed what you use. So
What you
it's
use.
simple as that.
And you've got 3 kids in your house, including a couple of teenagers that
Yep.
are probably
Crazy about their good hair.
Well, and now that they're out with the girls, should we
Yeah.
talk about your boys' dating lives? and
Oh, we
what's
could.
happening?
You want to?
No, I don't
Oh,
think they'd
they
be
would
happy
kill
about that.
me.
But I mean, obviously, the more water usage you use, I mean,
Yeah.
so
And we go from 5,000 to 7,000 gallons. We go up and down. It just kind of depends on the month. Summer is always more because I love plants, so I'm watering everything outside. But no, I mean, I think it's very normal for the rates to go up and down based on your usage. But people need to understand they're not getting billed for anything more than what they're using.
yeah,
So,
there's no profit on water.
no.
We're not making any money on water. People are paying. We actually lose money sometimes on water if somebody has a circumstance that we help them out with. But they're paying for the infrastructure, and they're paying for their actual water use. We're paying for that water. It's not like they're giving us $100 and we're sending 80 out.
Right.
They give us 100, we're sending 100 out. It's
My other favorite one is, well, my neighbor doesn't get billed that much or use that much. Well,
Yeah.
your neighbor may be 75 years old. It's just ma and pa kettle, and they're just, they don't use as much water. They don't have the laundry. They don't have the dishes.
The extra
I
children.
have a family of 6. She has a family of 5.
Yeah.
But even our families aren't comparable because what she does, she may, like she said, water her grass, water her plants.
Have a
I may
pool.
Not.
Yeah.
Have a
Yeah.
pool.
anything could happen.
We may like to do more laundry than her, not judging. But
Excuse me?
Look, we listen. We
I
could do a
smell
whole
today or
story.
something?
Well,
What's going on?
she's into all that organic stuff. I mean, she doesn't.
Tallow deodorant. It's a new thing.
Oh God.
Oh,
It's like
how do we get
it's
here?
like working with the woodsman over here. But no, but that's true. There are different uses per home, and it changes. And the other thing too is it's a couple months in arrears. So when you're getting an October bill, it's really for your August
Right.
usage. So someone says, "Well, it's October. I didn't have my sprinklers on." Well, but you did 2 months.
2 months ago.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We understand that people don't necessarily understand that. I want to reiterate again, we love when people take to social media, if they didn't call or email, and ask questions. It gives us a great opportunity to re-educate the public on how things go.
And you can educate a lot of people at one time.
At one
Right.
time. And we don't expect everybody to know how this works. The rub is when someone goes on there and states a fact which is completely
From what I heard.
not fact. Yeah, from
Right.
what I heard. Like this one. This woman says they were talking about how their water bills went up, and this woman said, my bill actually was $14 less than last month. And somebody said, but one of our friends doubled. And then the person whose bill was $14 less said, well, so much for them saying it was only going to go up 10%. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. Yours went down.
No.
I mean, it does. It fluctuates, and you'd be surprised. And quite often, you get calls, Megan.
Yeah.
People have leaky toilets that they don't know about. How
Oh,
often
yeah.
are you seeing that, Mark?
A lot.
Yeah, water
Well,
department's on top of that.
We see that quite a bit.
I mean,
leaky
honestly,
toilets in the summer. You got the
and
outside
the
spigots
hose leakage.
left
I've
on.
gotten calls twice from Ray, the water warrior in the water department, letting me know that my meter is showing a leak because my sons have left the hose on. So again, we're all about communicating with the residents and trying to help them, and I appreciate that. My water bill would have been up 10-20%, if I hadn't gotten that call, because I had no idea. So we're all about trying to help people.
I just have to tell you a funny story. As a kid in Oak Lawn, this probably was 1979. 1978, 1979. We always used to drink. Well, you're younger than me, but you used to always drink from the hose and all that stuff.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I left it on, but back then they didn't have that technology. The water truck with the PA system was going down the street. Somebody's left their hose on it. Oh boy, did my dad whip my ass for that one.
Water truck.
Yeah, the water truck with the PA system was saying that. Yeah, it was pretty good. But before we get off of water, there was one other favorite that I just saw that said, why are you building a sports complex and a children's museum if we need to pay more for water and water lines and a wastewater treatment plant? What a waste of taxpayer money.
Okay.
Well, the sports complex and the children's museum are not only amenities, but they're economic development. They are built for the purpose of eventually helping the taxpayers by bringing in taxes from outside our community to help pay for the services. Plus, it brings in amenities, hotels, restaurants, that sort of thing. And fortunately for us with Sports Complex, it's up by the hospital. So it's not really going to affect the everyday life and traffic of people. Mm-hmm. But one has absolutely nothing to do with, you want to go to the bathroom and you want to take a shower, we need a wastewater treatment plant and we need redundant water lines. How we got there, but it was more great commentary from Facebook.
Well, and you should mention New Lenox. We're above and beyond in regard to our infrastructure. We're on top of expanding and bringing this water in.
Might say.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, one might say it. One might regret having said that, but yeah.
I mean, honestly, compared to surrounding towns, we're prepared for growth, for population, for all these residential developments down south or businesses to move in. We're ready for that. We're ready for 400,000 people.
I knew there was a reason why I hired you.
Oh.
You're spot on. You're exactly right.
Thank you. I was worried there
well, you just kept your job through June.
Great.
We have learned from communities to the north of us that have seen growth that we need to get in front of it, Megan. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And so we had, 50, 60-year-old water mains that we've replaced on Cedar Road and on Route 30 and whatnot. But to your point, we paid, even though it's a state route, widen Route 30 in front of the development up by Walmart and all that because we knew the traffic flow. Yeah. We paid to put lights on at Laraway and Cedar, Francis and Cedar, even though it wasn't ours. We went from 1.5 miles of local road improvements a year to 7 miles of local road. To your very point, because we knew the growth was coming more than 7 years ago. We knew the growth was coming, and so we have put money into the infrastructure, which does cost and is not, as you said, before, in a previous conversation, it's not real sexy, but it's true. It's necessary to keep the quality of life going there. So that's great.
And on top of that, you started the tax rebate program. So we are not only...
look, you already got your job. You don't need to go overboard.
I can give her till July.
Keeping up the infrastructure. We're preparing for the future. And at the same time, we're rebating people their taxes.
We've given millions and millions of dollars back in property tax rebate, which, quite honestly, is going to come to an end here for a while as we reinvest in our community. But once we reinvest and we start getting that money back, then we'll go right back into that program. But we have given millions and millions of dollars.
Could have used that to build a pool.
What other community does that? Oh my
gosh! They don't. Yeah, you and your pool. But shame on you, Mark, and on our engineers and whatnot, because what we've been told from Facebook is it's ridiculous every time a business comes in, how the roads aren't taken care of and the parking isn't taken care of. They're engineered poorly. There's a lot of, unbeknownst to me, there are a lot of people on the community pages that are engineers.
I always kind of figured that. It seems like they know a lot.
They know an awful lot.
We should have a
about
Trader
these
Joe's
things.
then at this point, shouldn't we? They're all engineers.
Well, no, because the parking.
Parking's bad for Trader
sorry.
Joe's. That's right.
You're right.
Listen, this leads to one of my other favorites too. We don't control Route 30. That's a state route. Laraway's a county route. 6 is a state route. And in our 43 square miles, there are township roads and county roads and state roads and local roads and whatnot. I always love when someone says, oh, you did a horrible job with that exit or whatever on Route 30. And I say, well, that's a state route. You're just passing the buck. That's like me telling them that that they did a horrible job decorating their neighbor's home. I mean, if it's not ours, it's not. I'm not passing the buck. I'd love to take over the state. God knows it's run like crap. But I mean, we're not passing the buck. We only have control over so much. Yep. So let's get into taxes here real quick. And taxes are a complicated thing, and we understand that. So let's talk just a little bit about the tax bill. You have your property tax bill, and that is divided up primarily about 70% of that goes to schools, whether they're the local grade school district, the high school district, community college. About 70% of that goes there. The village gets about 4%. And then, of course, you have the fire and the township and the library and the park district. So they get really small percentages as well. Obviously, public education takes the big chunk of your tax bill. Now, it's not the local school's fault. I mean, there's always, every level of government needs to make sure they're running as efficiently as they possibly can. And not everyone does. That's a fact. There's quite a few levels of local government that are wasting taxpayer dollars. But the truth is, Constitution of the state of Illinois says that the state of Illinois is supposed to fund the majority of public education, which would be at least 50%. In New Lenox, they fund about 10%. So, because our state doesn't do what it's supposed to do, it falls on the local property tax owners. But that is not the fault of the village or the schools or the parks. Or when the state does not do, they keep taking away from municipalities, and they keep, that's a whole nother program. Don's going to get mad at me if I talk too long about it, but they keep putting unfunded mandates on schools and villages, but then, they obviously unfunded means they're not paying for it. We have to find the resources for it. But that's how taxes work. But one of the keyboard warriors has said, I don't understand why our taxes keep going up. We certainly aren't getting anything for it. Well, for the 4% you give us, 100% of which goes back to you.
Yep.
Currently. You get your streets plowed, you get your water tested, you get police service, you get village hall service.
Great events.
I mean, great events. Well, no, there's nothing to do here.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry,
if there
that's
were
right.
something to do, you would get great events.
If they want something to do, they can watch us pick up their branches every other week, or pick up leaves in the fall, or like
Catch
you
roads.
said, snow plowing, or Christmas in the Commons, or I can't think of any other events in the Commons right now, but I'm sure we have.
Because there's
something.
none.
Yeah,
Right.
there's nothing happening there. But I mean, and then you get great schools and great parks and great library. This is a community that really has the very best of everything. I mean, really and truly,
Absolutely.
all of the governmental bodies here work really, really well together. But it is expensive to live here in this state. It is expensive to live here in this state because Illinois is just so dysfunctional. What they do at the state level, the money that they waste on projects, the money that they give away to people that they shouldn't be giving that money away to, is just horrible. And that's why we've lost millions in population over the last 15 years, because people want out of here.
Yeah.
And it's sad. But our community, and a lot of local communities like ours, are really doing a great job of providing the services for you for what you pay. I mean, so it's really, really important. I'm going to go to this one here, number 13. It's I'm going to skip that other one because it's just beating the dead horse. But I love these. We talked about a new restaurant that's coming to town, a family-owned restaurant, not a chain. Family-owned, going to put their hard earned money, blood, sweat, and tear earned money into developing in our town. And this asshat says, maybe taxes will go down thanks to a subpar restaurant. Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't understand. Someone's having a bad day.
Is that what it is?
It's got to be. It's got to be. I don't understand this.
So we'll just have to search this person to see if they were having a bad day or if they're just a regular jackass.
They might be a regular jackass.
All right,
I don't know.
We'll
Trying
have
to think,
see. We'll have to see.
Here.
Finally, my favorite that I want to talk about. I love these. I love these. We were very fortunate before we even threw the first pitch out here at the sports complex to have over $500,000 worth of sponsorship money coming in here. And we have a local institution that also has a bigger footprint beyond our borders take the naming rights, which was phenomenal. And Robert, I'll refrain from giving your last name since Megan said perhaps you were having a bad day too. Did they buy the rights from Balderman? So in other words, that money went right in my pocket, according to this guy. Those are my favorites. Follow the money. See where it goes.
If only you had talked about any of these agreements at a board meeting, maybe.
Yeah, you know what?
Or
that
gotten
was my
approved by
mistake.
a board.
Yeah.
That's right. That was my mistake.
Yeah.
That was my mistake. That reminds me of the time when there was a leak at the high school and their water bill was astronomical. It was over $100,000. And people said that me and the superintendent chopped it up 50-50.
Oh.
Which would mean, of course, our finance director would have to be in on it, the administrator, everyone had to be in on it.
Well, you do bring people together.
We do. That's right.
That's what we do.
All I had to do was throw a quick beer party for you guys, and you let me walk away with, with the cash.
That's all we need.
Listen, people coming on social media and just making accusations or the conspiracy theories. Look, we've got meetings twice a month. They're public. Come here anytime. All of our records are public. We would encourage you to be involved.
They're
we
all
understand.
on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, Don's got it all up there on YouTube.
Minutes are available online.
Minutes are available
only
online.
You had access
it's
to
all
some of this.
yeah, exactly.
And we're only a phone call away.
That's
Call
right.
us, email us. We're here to answer questions.
Megan will be more than happy to read the minutes to you if you can't read them yourself.
Yeah, would
right?
you do that for him?
I would. Yeah.
That's see July.
Do you need
have till
that?
July
Is that
now.
why you're bringing
I'm
that
giving
up?
her. That's right.
Oh, do it. One
Okay,
extra
okay,
month.
hold on.
Oh, thanks.
Listen, here, so we had some fun today talking about some of these comments. The truth is, we're fortunate. We live in a great town. We got great people. The overwhelming majority of conversations that take place on our community pages are good people trying to help each other, support each other. And most of the people are frustrated when they read or see stupid crap like this. You're right, Megan. Sometimes someone's having a bad day and just has to blow off a little steam. Sometimes someone is genuinely just misinformed and doesn't ask it perhaps in the right way that they should, but they really just don't know. Some people are just strokes. I mean, it's you're going to get it. And some people like to troll just for a laugh. Honestly, the trolls I kind of enjoy. I'm not going to lie.
You do.
I do.
You do.
I have a good laugh at them. But because there are good, yet not by any fault of their own, sometimes naive people that this is where they get their source of information. God knows you can't get it from television because that's all BS.
Right.
So our hope here locally is to bring in good people like yourself. We had a little fun here today, but the truth is future episodes are going to be bringing in the people that are providing the services for our community that can answer the legitimate questions that people have, that they have a right to know.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're here for. We are public servants. We are here to serve the people, whether it's at the local level, the county level, the state level, the federal level. We're here to serve the people. We've got good people, like I said, in our financial institutions, in our healthcare institutions that will come here. And we will have healthy debate. We'll have healthy debate about that. But we're hoping that if you tune into this podcast here, Too Honest for Social Media, you'll find it worthwhile. You'll have a little fun, and you'll get the information that you deserve because, again, those who have chosen to either be elected to office or to work for local governments have an obligation to give it to you straight, and that's what we're going to do here. So, Don, as always, thank you, my friend. Thanks for getting this first one off the ground. Looking forward to many more. You were a great pinch hitter at the last minute. Megan, thanks for Mark had plenty of notice. I called him 3 hours ago, and you got 10 minutes notice, but that's how we roll here in New Lenox.
27 seconds.
Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching. Have a great day.